yeah, we just like, that's the beauty of Kozilek's Fury. You just randomly have lethal. It's disgusting. Hello YouTube, welcome to MTGA, and today we're going to have a look at Korvold Fae-Cursed King in Historic Brawl. This deck aims to win by playing Korvold Fae-Cursed King, sacrificing a bunch of permanents and just drawing a ton of cards. So, Korvold Fae-Cursed King, it's a 5-mana 4/4 flying dragon. Whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, sacrifice another permanent, and then when you sacrifice a permanent, put a +1/+1 counter on Korvold and draw a card. So the big synergy in this deck is Korvold and treasures. So anything that creates treasures, for example Strike Rich, that just creates a treasure token for 1 mana. You sacrifice a treasure to gain mana, and then you also draw a card of Korvold and grow him even larger, and that is extremely threatening. So something like a Strike Rich or a Skirk Prospector is just a free +1/+1 counter on Korvold, because you spend 1 red to play the Skirk Prospector, you sacrifice the Skirk Prospector, you draw the card, and you get the mana back. So you didn't lose any advantage whatsoever, and you got another counter on Korvold. And this also allows you to store card advantage preemptively on the board, right? You play your Skirk Prospectors, you create a bunch of treasures. You can also create treasures off of Unexpected Windfall or Pirates Pillage, big score, right? And then you drop Korvold, and you just, like, they point removal at it, but in response you just sacrifice all your treasures, draw a ton of cards, and then it's not even that bad if they remove Korvold, and that is exactly what the deck is trying to do. There are effectively 4 different paths you can take in the Korvold deck construction. First, you have the Treasure Storm deck. So that just tries to turbo out Korvold as fast as possible, and then just immediately draw the whole deck as fast as possible, basically. And the win condition, and I think this is a card you should basically play in all Korvold decks for that, would be Kozilek's Fury, because Korvold doesn't have haste, but you just sacrifice Korvold, fling him as a like 40/40 into the opponent's face, and just kill the opponent. So Treasure Storm is the first archetype. The second one is just full control. We have some control elements in this deck as well. For example, I mean, Liliana Dreadhorde General is just generally good, right? It's a good control finisher. It's good in sacrifice versions of the deck as well, but a bit to that later, right? But the control version just tries to overrun the opponent with value, but then you don't have too many things to sacrifice, and your Korvold turns will get a bit like they won't be as explosive as I want them to be. Then we have Landfall, Korvold lands. You can just basically play a bunch of effects that put a bunch of lands into play, and then you have your payoffs with lands that just sacrifice themselves to fetch other lands. Then you draw cards off of that, and then you gain a ton of advantage that way. And then lastly, we have the classic sacrifice list, just with Jund Sacrifice, and this is what this deck is leaning most towards too. And the cards in that list are like Skullputch Merchants, Woe Striders, Pitiless Plunderers, those kinds of cards that allow you, like, you play a bunch of 1-mana cards that you want to sacrifice. For example, Shambling Ghast is one, Nested Shambler is another one, right? And then you have a bunch of sacrifice payoff, and you go through your deck that way. I think the best way to build Korvold in general is just to have a strong shell that works without Korvold on the field. And then instead of running protection for Korvold, which some players want to do, I think just setting up a board where Korvold basically no matter what guarantees you a ton of value, even if they remove it at instant speed. So I feel like the sacrifice shell is the best to do that, and you want to have some elements from the Treasure Storm list, for example like Zorn and Goldspan Dragon generating you even more mana of your treasures. But you generally want to have mostly individually powerful cards. So I'm dipping my toes into kind of a bit of everything here, but I'm mostly sacrifice based in this list. Yeah, there is one infinite combo in this deck, and that is Chatterfang and Pitiless Plunderer. That is a 2-card infinite combo that we can also search for with Finality of Devastation. This is just a good card to fetch out any like given piece you want from the deck. So the way this works is we have Chatterfang. Whenever one or more tokens would be created under my control, we create that many tokens plus that many 1/1 squirrels instead. And then for 1 black mana, we can sacrifice X squirrels and target creature gets +X/-X until end of turn. And then Pitiless Plunderer says, whenever another creature you control dies, create a treasure token. So the way this works is we have these two on the field. Now we are going to create any one treasure or just kill any of our creatures, right? So we create a treasure token and we create a squirrel token. Basically, just create any treasure. No, not treasure, token, right? So now we get 1 treasure token. With that 1 treasure token, we're also going to have 1 squirrel. We're going to sacrifice that 1 squirrel to then for the 1 treasure token to give something +X/-X. X is going to be 1 in this case. We create 1 squirrel again, we create 1 treasure again to pay for the ability. Now, if we are able to create a second token, or we're going to have another creature in play that we are going to kill with the +X/-X, then we go plus, because now we have 2 squirrels, and we're going to use 1 mana to sacrifice 1 squirrel and kill the other squirrel, so we're going up by 1 treasure. So now we have infinite treasures. We can use Korvold, sacrifice the treasures, have infinite mana, have infinite draw, and then we just fling them to the face with Kazul's Fury. We can also just have a Bastion of Remembrance or a Meat Massacre out now. We can just sacrifice the Korvold so we're not forced to overdraw our deck, and then we have infinite damage as well that way, because whenever a creature we control dies, each opponent loses 1 life, and we can, you know, kill off infinite creatures that way. So that is the basic idea of this deck. We have a bunch of ways to accelerate, Korvold out. Cards like Gilded Goose are especially good because they are 1-shot mana providers, but we can just sack off the Goose. Grazer and Kami of Bamboo Groves, 1 mana creature, put a land from hand into play tapped, and we can sack them later. So there are a lot of moving pieces in the deck, and overall I think this this general playstyle of Korvold is what I believe to be the most competitive one currently. Although I think I want a bit more interaction, but we're currently decently light on interaction, I'd say. But overall, I think this general playstyle of Korvold is probably the way to go if you want to have the highest win rate. So let's see how it goes, and hope you enjoy the games. If you do, consider liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and let's go. We are ready to play against Rafine's Scheming Seer, and this shouldn't be a great matchup for us. Opponent goes first. Yeah, this is especially not great, because Rafine is probably a Reanimator deck, and that means that... Oh yeah, Baleful Mastery is probably greater against Reanimator, right? I just want to have, in general, removal against Rafine. I do want to eventually get my red source here for Kalane, but the deck is mostly green-black, so that's why I still think the mana here works out. Oh, Cold Steel Heart. Yeah, sadly no red source to play the Kalane here. That would have been pretty great. And we're just going to Hope of Gira push, sure. It's fine. We have to... This is interesting. I could save the Baleful Mastery for the reanimation spell. For the reanimated creature. And I think I'm going to do that. So I hope it's not going to be too bad. Searching for red here, because if I... I just don't see what I can do next turn otherwise, right? I assume to put the counters for Rafine, sure. Draw, discard, yeah. And again, I believe this is just generally a pretty bad matchup for us that we're going to lose most of the time. Okay, they have 5 mana, 6 mana. Oh, interesting. Okay, I think I want to just play a Fable of the Mirror Breaker. They didn't have the reanimation spell last turn. It could have just... Is this on black? Yeah, this is on black. Could have just hardcasted the Dream Trawler. Quite interesting, quite interesting. Yeah, if I play this, right? Now the game plan is, if they attack, put the counters on a Ravine. In response, we're going to Baleful Mastery, so they're actually not going to be able to discard anything. Well, now that's interesting. Well, they did it correctly, I believe. So I think I have to just take this attack. If I remove the creature in response to them conniving, they just don't get to connive at all, I believe. That's going to be really bad for me. If they put it on Ravine, then that would have been a blowout for sure. But they played this pretty well, Now they're going to crack the Hope of Girapur. Yeah, nice, nice. They really can't contest them on the board. Yeah, and they just put on through 2 threats. I think I can concede to that. Pretty great game, GG. We are ready to play against Moldrotha. And let's see. Yes. 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 This is a yes. Let's go. Okay, Snarl, Cabaretti Courtyard, probably just fetching a mountain. Reveal this. Yep. And this is like these courtyards are just so versatile in this deck. Well, not courtyards, but the new fetch lands. Yeah. Get a mountain. And now I am even able to, like, I would love to draw Black Source, just Inquisition, and then maybe Village Rites, all the cool stuff. I think I can take this turn off and just Inquisition them. I don't need to hit my land drops right now. Narset is definitely a card I don't want to see them having in play. Their mana is pretty awkward. Yeah, their mana is pretty awkward. But if I'm not able to deal with the Narset somehow, then that just cripples me. And if I draw land, I'm probably going to Village Rites to see if I can find a play, and if I don't draw land, then I'm going to Village Rites to see if I find a land. I'm just very, very likely to play the Village Rites next turn. Okay, they found them black. Yeah. Do the thing I told you I would do. Yeah. And now, again, would be great if I draw land. And if I do, if I don't, yeah, I'm just going with a Mayhem Devil here. Suppose that's fine. Let's see. Could have also just went with Murderous Rider as a creature and then just, you know, get rid of that next turn with the Deadly Dispute, but I think that's too cute. I want to just have that option of removing something here. Ooh, Seize the Spoils. Interesting. I think I don't need the Meatok Massacre, but given that they have a Bastion of Remembrance, I kind of wanted to negate my life loss from that. But I don't have anything that I want to wipe right now, honestly. And I don't, like, it doesn't seem like they're set up too much on the sacrifice plan, so I guess I can just don't need the Meatok Massacre here. Very awkward, very awkward. Yeah, I'm playing the Jadar here. The reason being is I have a Deadly Dispute, and if I top deck a land, that is just amazing. Like, not playing the Jadar would have meant that I got to play Korvold next turn, but then I would have sacrificed land, and then if they had removal, that would have just been really bad for me. Yeah, I want to top deck the untapped land here. Playing a decent amount of lands in this deck. We're kind of light for what we're trying to do, honestly. Oops, cancel. We're going to hold full control. We're going to attack with the zombie token, because that's going to die at the end of combat, but it can do damage before that. So deal damage. And now we sacrifice it. Yep. Yep, resolve. Just give me my land drops. Well, technically, mana. Duress you, and now they gotta decide if they want to fire off the scattered thought in response. They do actually want to do that. So now you see their full hand, which is pretty neat. Pretty neat. Again, I'm stumbling a bit on lands, but that's just fine, honestly. Yeah. What do they have in graveyard? Baleful Mastery. They can regrowth and keep up Baleful. And they're kind of far off Great Henge, especially like if they play Muldrotha and then Murderous Rider than Muldrotha. Yeah. Seems fine to me. Also keeps them off green mana, so they don't actually have enough green to play that. I think that's worth pushing. Just like, I think me drawing a card here is less valuable than them drawing a card. Okay, and now we're doing it. So we start on Dark Ritual. We go with Korvold, sacrificing the zombie. Yes. And I could just keep up Murderous Rider. What is their play otherwise going to be? Very interesting. I think I can just afford to play the untapped land here, because I'm probably going to draw enough cards next turn that I'm finding another untapped land, and I can just still cycle these Taurus Proving Ground here with the cycling ability. Yeah, now I'm just very glad that I got to hold up the, like, I'm pretty glad that I hold up the Murderous Rider here. Ooh. I can now play. Oh, by the way, this was just an interesting tip here. I did make a mistake here, a pretty big one. So instead of just paying with the treasure, you should float the mana from the treasures first to see if your play actually changes. And I think it kind of did there, because if I didn't kill the Muldrotha with the Murderous Rider here and floated the black mana instead, I would have seen that I would have drawn Liliana, and then I would have not Murderous Ridered the Muldrotha and instead choose the -2 ability on the Liliana to get rid of Toski and Muldrotha in for my Jadar and the zombie token here. But I didn't do that, so that was a mistake. So instead, I think I'm still want to keep this a secret, because they can probably just play Muldrotha again. And if they do that, then I hit them with the Liliana. And Bootleggers Stash is just... No, I did a mistake again. Haha. Because I know they have the Reclamation Stage. What am I doing? So I should have put the Liliana here. Yeah, Bootleggers Stash is an amazing card to untap with. It is just extremely disgusting because now your lands create treasures. But I should have played the Liliana. Yeah, I'm not... Yeah. All of these plays. Now that also makes my... Yeah, it did 2 mistakes that game that definitely mattered. I think being able to identify your own mistakes is a pretty good skill to have in Magic, and it really helps you improve. Could just now minus. But I don't think I want that. Yeah, let's just do this. Attack with these, and Decade sacrifices the creature. So I just want to be able to aggressively sacrifice my cards here. Yep. Yup. And then that should be lethal next turn. And just going to again draw first. Right. And then make your decision, because now if I wanted to use the Shadow Skull Smashing, that would have been pretty relevant. But no, I don't want to change my opinion.
The undead make great minions. Loyal.
Yep. Got my tokens in. So yeah, bit sloppy, but we were getting there. And honestly, even if they just invest resources in killing the Korvold right now, I'm still a pretty good spot. I believe they can't play Wild Growth and not anything scary from their graveyard. Nope, they can't. I'm pretty glad that I made them discard the Balagat Recover earlier. Ha! Vorinclex actually prevents counters from being put on Korvold, but they are at 10 life and Korvold has, you know. Yeah, I don't think I want to let them draw cards. Korvold is already 10 counters, so yeah. So, and I think they're doing this play like that seems like a desperation play, honestly. And these blocks still allow me to kill the opponent. That's pretty good. Yeah, and they just concede. Lethal on board. GG. We are ready to play against Greasefang. Okiba. Raid boss? No, just Okiba boss. Yes. Anyways. Hand seems good. Yeah, I'm gonna keep this. Bunch of treasure generators. Oh, just wow. Pretty great hand. Especially on the play, yeah, sign me up. So Blooming March. Next turn, so Kenzen, and then very likely going to... Oh, where were you on turn 1, huh? That would have been a pretty nice play. Going to play the Black Market Tycoon. Just get the continuous ramp out there. This is going to deal a bit of damage to you, but like if you have a lot of treasures, then you can most likely play Korvold and sacrifice the treasures anyways, right? I think I only need one red here in this situation. Springbloom Druid versus Fable. Springbloom Druid allows me to play Korvold next turn, and then I think I want a black-green here. Yeah, black-green. Green and black. Yeah, so this play allows me to activate the Black Marker Tycoon in their end step. Then, oh, they're stumbling on white mana? So what that does mean, if they kept the hand like that, right? That just usually is pretty bad, honestly. Oh, this just deals massive damage to me, but like, I want to hit my land drop here, honestly. Like, if they kept the hand without any white, then that means they have to have like either that one white just makes them an insane board, or what I guess even more likely that they have a ton of instant beat removal for Korvold. If that's the case, like, I kind of want to hit my land drop, but this is going to deal me like 8 damage, and I'm just not sure if that's worth it against a deck that kind of wants to kill me, honestly. So I feel like just going Fable of the Mirror Breaker and Ravenous Scroll is going to be pretty good here. That way I only deal myself 4 damage, then I can attack with the Goblin Shaman. I can just attack with a Massive Scroll next turn, and I'm just basically way better off against instant speed removal here. There's a white. I assume that's going to be Greasefang here. Maybe a board wipe. No, it's Key to the Archive. Okay. I assume... Yeah, let's see what they discard. I assume it's something really good. Otherwise I wouldn't have kept Bread. No? No big vehicle? I'm a bit confused on what's going on here. Oh. Don't think I need that. I think the rest is pretty good as is, honestly. I really want to hit my land drop, so... No luck. Oh well. I wanted to hit my land drop before the Korvold comes down, basically. So now I'm starting to create a very large board very soon. Okay. Meet Shambling Ghast. And yeah, I'm fine with that. Swing in. Create more treasures. And I mean, Korvold is probably just going to kill them next turn. I think it's pretty easy on this board to sacrifice 12 permanents. Day of Judgment, yeah, as I thought. Creating a treasure in response. They're also exiling that. Are they Greasefang? Maybe they're just Greasefang control. Seems like it. Very, very weird, but cool, I guess. I think I don't want to use this treasure, like just for nothing here. Create another treasure. And this is kind of what I meant earlier with like how this deck interacts with like how this deck works against control. Like I wasn't really like a protection spell would have been really good here, right? But I'm totally not out of the game here. I just dropped Korvold. Like I just need to hit my land drops. That's my biggest problem right now. The only thing is like Greasefang usually just wants to dump one big vehicle into the graveyard, right? So and then just reanimate it with the commander. So I usually don't see like board wipes in Greasefang. It's just usually just a turbo version, basically. Just like discard our vehicle on turn 2 and then turn 3 just do some stuff. I don't think the Fatal Push deals with the commander at instant speed. I don't think I will need this Pitiless Plunderer. Reason being is I can actually... How many do they have in the graveyard? They have 5 in grave. So if they discard one more, even then... this is tricky. Yeah, let's just play the Yawgmoth. And then if they minus the Liliana on the Yawgmoth, that is honestly fine for me. Day of Judgment. Sure, more removal. This my graveyard? Yeah. Now I just need to draw land. Yep. That's the land I wanted. Beautiful. And now I can... I'm just going to play Korvold here. Sacrifice a land. That's going to be pretty good against them. Triple black. I probably want triple black more than I want triple green. Yeah, pass turn. And now they really can't do anything here with the Lily. Like, they can't minus Korvold because just in response I'm going to crack all the treasure tokens, right? Yep, that's a land. I just need them to not draw removal here, right? Black. Red, I guess. They're cracking Castle Lochthwain in response. And I think that's fine. Yep, minus.
No.
And I wanted to make sure that I float at least one black. Oh, and they should just concede to the Korvold sticking on the field. GG! We are ready to play against the Gitrog monster. And I've just realized that kind of messed up my commentary a bit previously. Because I wanted to, you know, tell you guys... I usually want to tell you guys the commander that they're playing, like, just tell you something about them. So I forgot that in the previous games, kinda. So Gitrog monster, whenever they sacrifice a land, or like whenever land hits their graveyard, they draw a card, so they are just ramping out super, super hard. And, yeah. Anyways. Yeah, just bunch of lands in the graveyard. They also have an infinite combo, kinda, in the deck that I want to prevent. Anyways. So I'm thinking right now, if I draw a forest or a swamp, I really want this untapped. But I want to play green as well here. But maybe I'm supposed to... Like, I want to play the goose next turn. That's what I'm looking at. So I guess I can grab the green off of that. I guess Evolving Wilds for green. And then I can still just Maestro's Theater for red. Next turn. Because I kind of want to get into a situation where this comes into play untapped. Agonizing Remorse, sure. The side is pretty resilient to Agonizing Remorse, or just hand hate in general. Maybe they're taking the Woe Rider, because Agonizing Remorse exiles and then I can't escape the Woe Rider. They take the Dark Ritual, reasonable I think. Just a bunch of speed that I lose that way. I think that's pretty good for them. Grab the red, because that's what we need. Play Gilded Goose, and then next turn I can just play Riveteers Requisitioner. Even if the Snarl comes into play tap, that's fine. Eccentric Farmer. They mill 3 and return a land from graveyard to hand. Oh, wouldn't you know, that kind of makes sense in their deck. Yep. And the turn goes exactly as I thought it would go. I kind of want to just draw an untapped land here, right? Kill the goose, so I can't... yeah. Kill the goose. Oh, we would have drawn the untapped land actually, pretty good. Interesting. So I could go with the Chatterfang. I think I'm starting with attacking here, because if they block I can just play Korvold. But I wouldn't play it anyways, I think. So with big score I prepare for dropping Korvold next turn, which is massive, because I probably hit my untapped land drop, so I can, you know, have everything at the ready here. I kind of like that. I'm just not sure what to discard. Right, and I kind of like the Mayhem Devil. Maybe the Chatterfang is not where I want to be right now. Yeah, because I'm creating my treasure, like it's not on the field when I'm creating my tokens, so like I don't get much value from it. Also, no land again. Unlucky. I mean, we're playing a decent amount of lands, but nothing fancy, honestly. I assume they... nope, they just go with Cavalier of Thorns. Yeah, they're ramping before they are playing the commander. Okay, Lotus Field. Enters the battlefield, sacrifice 2 lands. I don't really play that in this deck because the mana is a bit awkward from it, and like I can, but I really don't want to. Oof. Yeah. The big question is, do I just want to set up here? I could just set up and just try to like create a world where I 1, 2, 3 can just, I think, set up for a board where when they play Gitrock monster I can kill it with the Mayhem Devil. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know how I would get the 5 and 6. 5, 6. No, yeah, 6 with the Woe Stride. Okay, if I go with, they know about the Woe Stride, but they don't know about the Mayhem Devil, right? So I think I'm supposed to just play Woe Strider and Shambling Ghast here, pass turn. If they just play the Gitrock monster, I think. Wait, no. I was supposed to play the Mayhem Devil first. Now I need to top deck a land. Oh god, this is nerve-wracking. Can I still do it if I scry one with the Woe Strider? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can still do it. So I can sacrifice one creature to try to search to scry with the Woe Strider. Yeah, I need to top deck on that now. Ah, yikes. 1, 2. No, it's still fine. I guess it's still fine. So we sacrifice the food token. No, because we don't have the Mayhem Devil on the field, right? Unfortunate. And I really don't want to sacrifice anything right now. Oh no, I just realized, even if I had the land, I think I still couldn't have done it here because the Mayhem Devil wasn't in play. So I was supposed to play the Mayhem Devil first, then drop the Korvold, and then sack the treasures to play the Woe Strider, because that would have actually given me like what if I play the Woe Strider after the Mayhem Devil sees the treasures actually being sacrificed, and it's not the other way around. Yep, Multani, they return 2 lands. Oh, that's pretty great for me. Because that means that this Gitrock monster, like if I remove the Gitrock monster, that's just pretty brutal for them, honestly. I can't jump that and sacrifice it with the Woe Strider. But no, I don't want to. I think the one more damage from my side of the field is more relevant than like 6 damage from it. Oh yeah, that's just lethal. Beautiful. Yeah, GG. Because I now start by sacrificing all my creatures, pinging down the Cavalier of Thorns, then hitting them face with Korvold. Marionette Master, don't need you right now. So sacrifice you, and then hitting face with Korvold, sacrificing Korvold to Kozilek's Fury. Yep, seems about right. And how do I do this? I need to sacrifice 3 more and then untap land. Yeah, so I'm probably just blink a lane. Yep. And so I wanna float you. Yep. Play Arcane Signet. Sacrifice Kalane. Ping down the Cavalier of Thorns. Yep. They bring something back from the graveyard, but yeah, we just drew, like, that's the beauty of Kozilek's Fury. You just randomly have lethal. It's disgusting. Yep. Doesn't matter what you bring back, opponent, you're dead. Because you can also ready Courtyard, draw another card here. Ping him face. And I believe that's even lethal without the Kozilek's Fury, almost. Yeah, that's lethal without Kozilek's Fury. Wow. That is pretty disgusting. Because, let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4... Yeah, that's just lethal without Kozilek's Fury. Sure. Okay. We swing in. Sacrifice you. Ping you. Use mana. Yup. Ping you. Ping you. And again, I would have even killed them from 25, I believe, almost. Yeah, GG. We are done with the games. I hope you enjoyed them as much as I did. And Korvold Fae-Cursed King. Definitely a very, very popular and a very good commander in Historic Brawl. Just Junt Sacrifice, very solid archetype, Korvold drawing a ton of cards, and you can just win without Korvold on the field, which is a big plus in my opinion. There are a ton of different ways to build the deck, as I've mentioned in the intro, and honestly, regarding the budget of the deck, just taking this a bit quick here, you basically have enough cards in the card pool to make 2 Korvold decks that don't overlap on a single card, I would argue. And that's how many different cards you have for Korvold. And like, you ask me, oh, is this good in Korvold? I'm probably going to answer, yeah, it's pretty good in Korvold. Yeah, again, if you want to play this deck on a budget, what can you cut? What do you need? And again, you don't need any of these cards, really, because you can just play this on a budget very, very well. The cards that I would craft first are the lands, because if you're able to cast your spells, then you can play your spells, you know? Like, you can actually put them into your deck and you don't have to worry about, oh, I'm going from double black to triple green, and like, yeah, you want to cast your spells. So first craft I would do, as always, or like most of the time, you want to craft all your lands that fix colors. You don't need these cute lands. Probably the most powerful non-color fixing land in this deck by far is Phyrexian Tower. And then you probably want to look at a few staples that just basically turn up the deck to 11. I wouldn't really, first and foremost, I wouldn't really like consider crafting a card like Zorn unless you have all the other cards, because this only amplifies what you have already, and if you don't have anything, then, you know, 0 times 0 is not a lot. Yeah. So I think I would recommend you guys to not craft necessarily the best card for this deck. For example, a you know, Bootleggers Stash can do a ton of work in this deck, but only really in this deck specifically, right? I would rather recommend you guys to craft the cards that you were interested in crafting anyways. For example, Yawgmoth Thran Physician is one of the best budget Historic Brawl commanders. I have a deck tech on that. That's a very popular video on my channel. Well, and you can basically play with only commons and uncommons. So if you're interested in that kind of deck, then you should craft a Yawgmoth Thran Physician, right? If you like, you wanted to have these staples but never got the time to do so, yeah, Inquisition, Thoughtseize, Dark Ritual, Lightning Bolt, Gilded Goose, all of those you can just craft right now, because again, you can replace most of these with similar cards as well, right? Like, again, you don't need Merit Master. This is a very specific card to this deck, or like treasure decks in general. I would rather, you know, go ahead and craft a Lydiana if you don't have that already, and so on and so forth. So probably you would just want to craft the staples, and I think, I'm sure, like, if you type in treasure, most of the cards are viable that come up, right? So, and there are a ton of commons and uncommons I haven't put into the deck, and overall, I think this deck is honestly pretty budget friendly, like once you get the mana going, right? If you have none of these lands, then this is going to be a nightmare to build, and I honestly wouldn't recommend crafting it. But once you do have all the color fixing lands, then just go ahead, play Korvold, and you can just sink wildcards and wildcards and wildcards into this deck, just trying out new things, and you're not going to be disappointed, honestly. Yeah, this was a Korvold Fae-Cursed King in Historic Brawl just for you guys. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.